Hey guys, welcome to the shop, and welcome to my contribution to the 2019, or to the Tip Splits 2000. Hey guys, welcome to the shop, and welcome to my contribution to the Tip Splits 2019 video series, I guess you'd call it, where a bunch of creators have decided to share some of their favorite machine shop tips, home shop tips, with you guys. So I've gathered some of my favorites together in no particular order. So let's run through them real quick, and hopefully you pick up something you can use. Alright, so wiping off your surface plate. I like to use Chem wipes. So much better than paper towels. They're basically lint-free, and they do a wonderful job. Not only for your plate, but to wipe off your precision tooling too. So those are great, and they're really durable. So much better than paper towels. Pick some up. Chem wipes. Alright, a quick tip on files. Now I like to buy my files, if I can, with one safe edge in them. That way if I'm working up next to a corner, I'm only working one surface at a time. And if I can't get the file that I want with a safe edge on it, I'll grind it in myself on the belt grinder. I also like to avoid using a file card when I can. The teeth or the wires in these file cards a lot of times are as hard or harder than the teeth of the file themselves. And although they may clean the debris out, they'll also dull your file. So I avoid using a file card. What I do, is that for one, I don't pack the file full. Take you a few good strokes until you start feeling this file filling up. Then I'll tap it on the end of my vise or whatever to knock the loose stuff out, and then wipe it backwards with my fingers. A lot of times there's no teeth out here to use anyway, and even if they are, chances of you using them are slim. And if it's a good file, you wouldn't want to do this to it, or a special file. But for the majority of file work, this works really well, and that's what I do. So for stubborn stuff stuck in the teeth of the file, I like to push them out with a piece of copper or brass. It works really well and won't damage the file. There's another look at that safe edge. The factory, and then ground in safe edge. Alright, so to keep my grinder working smooth without putting oil on everything, because that's really a death sentence in my opinion for a grinder, all sticky oils do is collect grinding dust and create a lapping compound and accelerate the wear on the stuff that you're trying to either protect or make work smoother. So what I use, like on the pivot for this head, on the dovetails that it slides back and forth on, where these table rotates, and where my work head rotates, is just this dry graphite lube. You can pick this stuff up pretty much at any parts store and hobby store, whatever. It's relatively cheap and works really well. It's a good alternative to oil. It does not attract the particles and stuff, and gives you a smooth working machine, which is always always a good thing. You can also get this stuff in extra fine. That's this right there. This is the coarser stuff, but yeah, so you have options. So lubricating the centers of either lathe, cutter grinder, whatever, both dead, live, it doesn't make much difference. I like to use this CMD Extreme Pressure Lube. This is number 3, and that's what it's made for, is centers. It's a concentrated center point lubricant. I like this stuff. I've had great results with it, and a lot of people that I trust use this also. I'll use white lead if it's a really extreme circumstance, but not everybody has that, and then you have to clean it up, the lead up, after you're done. So for the majority of stuff that I do, this stuff works really great. So get you a tube of this. Extreme Pressure Lube number 3, made by CMD. So just basic metal polishing, brass, aluminum, steel, chrome, anything metal really. This stuff seems to work really well, and it's Happich semi-chrome polish. It's made in Germany. Some good stuff for sure. I use it on tooling, anything that I want to leave a shine on and don't want to pull out like a diamond lapping compound or something more aggressive. So try you some of this. I think you'll find that it's pretty good stuff. At least that's what I've found. So Happich semi-chrome polish. So it's some good stuff. Alright, so here's a tip a lot of you may already use, but if you don't, it's definitely handy. And that is to have you something that you can reference off of to set your tool height quickly. What I use is an old height gauge, but you can really use anything. A piece of, pretend this is a piece of rod, anything that you can cut to a specific length that is the tool height or the center height of your lathe. This is what I use, and it is definitely handy, and I use it all the time. Makes life easy. Alright, so if you're in a shop, you've got stones. If you use stones, they get dirty, just like these are. And what I use to clean them and to lubricate my parts when I'm using them is white camp fuel. I just put it in a spray bottle, and it really works great for breaking loose the debris that gets stuck in these stones. I mean, I've seen people use ultrasonic cleaners, but I mean, this is so quick, and it's extremely effective. As you can see, that stone was clogged basically. Just rub it in. There you go, man, that's awesome. But it's definitely flammable, so be careful. So my shop is not temperature controlled, and I deal with rust pretty much on a daily basis. We have wild temperature swings. I live in a forest basically, and to avoid rust in my metal cabinets, you can see there's a light on down there, and that is a small incandescent light bulb, properly wired and fixtured. Do not use that in a wooden cabinet. You will burn your shop down. To keep the temperature of this cabinet relatively stable, and what that does is pretty much stop rust at all. I use it, I prefer it over desiccant simply because it's easy to tell when a light bulb is on, and it's worked extremely well for me. So use that at your own risk, but it definitely works. And there's probably other methods to heat a cabinet, but this is cheap and works really well. Alright, so I got a couple of verbal tips before I end this video that I'd like to share. And one is deburr your parts. It is the difference between a finished part and a non-finished part. What's a little story? What sold me on deburring my parts is when I first started machining, 10, 12 years ago. I worked in a shop with a guy who was had been machining longer than I've been alive. This guy's good, he's still good, And I was proud of this part that I finished. It was one of my very first fairly complex parts. And I handed it to him and I said, look at this. I wanted to share it, what I'd done with him. And he just looked at it real quick, and said, yeah, it looks fine, but it's not finished. And I'm like, "What do you mean not finished? It's exactly what I wanted." And he goes, "Well, you haven't deburred it yet, and it feels horrible." And ever since then, I've deburred every part that I've come across, and I've learned that it is the difference between a finished part and a not finished part. The feel is totally different between a deburred part and a non-deburred part. That was long-winded, but that's important, I think. And number 2 is be a good person. Try to be friendly and kind to your coworkers. It'll take you a long way in life. People will not go out of their way to harm you. They'll actually try to help you if you're a good person to them also. So try to be upbeat. I do. And the last one is work on the things that you're not so good at. If all you do is go out in your shop or whatever and work on the stuff that you know, well, that doesn't move you forward very much. So I try personally to work on things that I'm not good at. I don't mind to share mistakes or whatever. I would continue doing those mistakes if nobody called me on it. So work on the things that you're not so good at, learn where you mess up, and then adapt and overcome. And that's what I try to do. So that's a good piece of advice, I think, is to don't work on the stuff that you're good at. It doesn't do you much good, unless you're making money at it. But you get the idea, I think. So that's it. Really appreciate you guys watching. If you need anything, you can contact me through my email. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. Click on my little guy. And I put out a video every Saturday. At least I try to. So thanks to my viewers, patrons, and subscribers. Hope you picked up something that hasn't been shared before, which is hard to do. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.